Loneliness has never been a simple matter of whether there are people around us. It is entirely possible, almost ordinary, to sit beside someone who genuinely cares, who has offered their loyalty and affection in ways both explicit and subtle, and still feel a quiet distance humming beneath everything, like the low, unending drone of a refrigerator in the back of the room. This distance does not always announce itself loudly. It is often patient, calm, strangely polite. It waits in the pauses between conversations, in the sighs we do not explain, in the words we edit out of our own sentences because we sense they may not land well. Loneliness is not the absence of love, but the absence of being understood in the exact way we long to be. We grow up assuming intimacy is a simple formula. Love plus proximity equals connection. But the internal world is not bound by such neat arithmetic. The inner landscape is a fragile terrain of half-formed thoughts, unspoken fears, misremembered wounds, and quiet hopes that sometimes feel too delicate to expose. Even the people who love us sincerely cannot effortlessly navigate this landscape. It is hidden not because we wish to hide, but because we do not fully know how to translate what we carry into a language others will understand. The result is a subtle estrangement, not a dramatic break, but a gentle mismatching between what we feel and what is seen. Much of our loneliness begins in childhood, long before we meet the people who will later love us. As children, we internalize countless emotional micro-experiences. The moments we cried but tried to appear fine. The times we were misunderstood. The times adults misread our silence as obedience or our sadness as shyness. We learned early that parts of ourselves would be inconvenient to others, and so we learned to bury them. This early training becomes the blueprint for our adult relationships. We may sit across from someone who truly cares, but a lifetime of emotional self-editing has made it difficult to reveal ourselves without fear. Loneliness thrives not in the absence of people, but in the absence of freedom to be fully ourselves. The people who love us may misunderstand us, not because they are careless, but because they are human. They too carry their own unspoken histories. Their empathy has limits, shaped by their own experiences. They may offer solutions when we simply want acknowledgement. They may try to cheer us up when what we crave is a companion to sit with our sadness. They may interpret our withdrawal as disinterest when it is merely exhaustion. These small misalignments accumulate, and over time, without any dramatic rupture, loneliness forms like a thin film between two hands that want to hold each other but cannot quite touch. To be lonely around those who love us is to experience a particular kind of quiet grief. It is the grief of having the shape of our inner world go unnoticed. We want someone to ask the kind of questions that reach beneath the surface. We want someone to intuit the tremors beneath our stillness. We want someone to recognize the meaning behind the slight quiver in our voice,
or the silence that lasts a moment too long. But most people, including those who love us deeply, cannot fully decode these signals. And so we minimize. We learn to say, "It's nothing," or "I'm just tired," because explaining seems harder than hiding, and because we worry the truth may seem excessive, irrational, or needy. Loneliness also arises from the gaps between our expectations and the world's realities. We inherit romantic ideas from culture, ideas that someone out there will understand us without explanation, that love automatically ensures emotional synchronicity, that one soulmate can meet all our psychological needs. These ideas are tender but unrealistic. Human beings are vast and complicated. No single person can enter every room inside us. Even those who love us with great devotion will overlook dozens of small emotional details, not by fault, but by nature. When we cling to the ideal of perfect emotional understanding, reality inevitably disappoints us, and disappointment easily takes the shape of loneliness.
There is also the loneliness that comes from the parts of us we haven't met yet. Sometimes we feel estranged from others because we are estranged from ourselves. We may not fully grasp our own motives, fears, or longings. We may crave closeness but pull away when someone comes near. We may want comfort but distrust it when offered. This internal contradiction creates a peculiar form of loneliness, the loneliness of being a stranger to oneself. Even when surrounded by love, the unexamined mind can feel like an empty house with its lights turned off. And then there is the loneliness of unspoken complexity. Many of our deepest feelings are not easy to articulate. They resist neat sentences. They are tangled, layered, ambiguous. When someone asks what is wrong, the truthful answer might not fit into a conversation. It might require hours of slow unpacking, or stories that begin in childhood, or memories we have never dared to revisit. Instead of burdening someone with the full weight of our emotional architecture, we settle for partial truths. We speak in fragments. We say what is easier rather than what is real. Each simplification adds a small new layer to our loneliness. The people who love us may want to help desperately, but they cannot hold what we never give them, and we cannot give what we have not yet understood. So loneliness becomes a quiet companion in our relationships. Never dominant, never explosive, but gently present like a shadow at dusk that lengthens slowly behind us. Loneliness is also the inevitable consequence of the private consciousness we each inhabit. No matter how close we become to another person, we remain separate minds. We experience the world through our own filter of sensations, memories, and interpretations. We cannot transmit our internal world directly. We can only gesture at it through words, expressions, and actions. And gestures are never perfect replicas of reality. This irreducible separation between minds creates a structural loneliness, a baseline solitude that cannot be eliminated but only understood and softened. Yet, loneliness with loved ones is not a verdict on the relationship. It does not mean the relationship is wrong or insufficient. It often means we are human and that the task of bridging internal worlds is inherently complex. Connection is not magic, it is a practice. It is the slow, patient process of revealing ourselves in small pieces and hoping those pieces are received with gentleness. It is the bravery of asking questions that invite depth rather than convenience. It is the humility of accepting that others will never fully understand us, and that we will never fully understand them, yet choosing to keep trying. Loneliness begins to soften not when others become perfect, but when we become more compassionate with the imperfections of connection. Instead of expecting mind reading, we learn to communicate more honestly. Instead of assuming silence means disinterest, we learn to check in with sincerity. Instead of hiding our complexity, we learn to offer it gradually, trusting that what is shared becomes lighter. The people who love us may never fully comprehend our deepest layers, but they can walk beside us while we explore them. This companionship does not eliminate loneliness, but it transforms it from an isolating void into a space of gentle acceptance. To feel lonely among those who love us is to recognize the beautiful and painful truth that love and understanding are not the same. Love is the willingness to try. Understanding is the outcome that grows slowly, imperfectly, sometimes clumsily. We suffer when we expect understanding to be immediate. We begin to heal when we see it as a lifelong conversation. Loneliness approached with patience can become a teacher. It shows us the rooms inside ourselves that need attention. It reveals the parts of us we have kept hidden even from our own awareness. It invites us to articulate more clearly, to ask more vulnerably, to listen more deeply. It teaches us that closeness is not a guarantee, but a craft. And perhaps the most comforting truth is that loneliness with loved ones is nearly universal. Behind closed doors and polite smiles, countless people silently experience the same quiet ache. The world is full of individuals who love and feel loved, yet sometimes feel alone in the presence of those who matter most. This loneliness is not a personal failure. It is the shared human condition, born from the complexity of being conscious, emotional beings who long for perfect resonance in an imperfect world. To live is to be partially hidden. To love is to attempt, again and again, to be seen. And to continue trying, despite the inevitable gaps, may be the closest we come to dissolving loneliness. Not through perfect understanding, but through the gentle reassurance that someone is willing to see as much of us as they can for as long as we remain willing to show them.